Hello YouTube. So in this video, I'm going to be showing y'all how I achieve this very cute, simple style for summer. It is 4 braids with a curly bun, and y'all are seeming to love this on the internet. Y'all have been asking me for the tutorial. So if you're interested, then just keep on watching. All right, so first we're going to start off with some blow dried hair. My hair has just recently been taken out of a braid out, so we are going to have to handle that before we actually do our style. But the products we're going to be using is some leftover curly hair and some shining jam. I'm going to start off by blow drying my hair just to make sure this style has a good foundation. I will be linking all of the products down below as well as in my Amazon storefront. But when I'm blow drying my hair, I just want to make sure that all of the crinkly pieces are out. Next, I'm going to part my hair down the middle. And y'all, with this style, I wanted to make sure that my parts were straight because I knew I was only doing 4 braids, so the parts was going to be exposed. To start with the 4 braids, I want to go by the end of my brow. That is my reference, and just part back. That is the best way I know to do my 4 braids because I just know my head shape. So yeah, that's the best way. But I want to use my rat tail comb, making sure that that part is really straight. For my scalp care, I'm going to be using some grease. Yeah, I did go back old school with the B&B grease. That's something my mom used to put on my hair all the time, and it just really moisturizes my scalp. Next, I'm going to take that rat tail comb and divide that first section into 2. You did see earlier in the video, but I am doing like a crisscross pattern. So in order to achieve that, you have to kind of part your hair in 4 sections. I am using the back of my ear as a reference because I knew that's where I wanted my X to begin. Once I have that part straight in the first section, then I part the other section that's closest to the middle of my head, just to make sure that both boxes are even, and that way everything is uniform. I'll be honest, this probably was the hardest part of achieving this style just because I have so much hair. But I just wanted to make sure that everything was uniform. My hair was fully detangled and I had to get everything sectioned out appropriately. So before I started braiding, I did need to mold each section in the direction I was going to braid the hair. I am using the shining jam to mold it. Y'all, this part is probably one of the most important parts. I know I probably said that already, but with you doing the X, you want to try to get the sections really neat because the braids do have to go in an angle, and with these being big braids, you just want to make sure that everything is making it easier on yourself. I am using clips after I mold it just to try to get the hair molded a little more, trying to get it as neat as possible. I just think whenever you're doing bigger braids, that the parts being clean just makes the style look so much better. So that's what I'm doing now, using a brush and trying to mold each section, so it's just easier for me when I braid. This style did take a lot of preparation before I actually started the braiding process. So after about 2 or 3 minutes, I removed the clip, and you can see how the section of hair that I'm going to braid in that direction is kind of molded. So now I'm just braiding my hair. It was very frustrating doing this part just because I was having to braid this part up into an angle. I am a person that likes the thinner braid at the bottom of the X and the thicker braid at the top. So I did have to do that section up in an angle, and it was just very frustrating for me. Now I am molding the second portion of this. Now this is going to be the thicker braid, and this is going to be the braid that goes over that first section. And the reason I did it that way is because I like the thicker braid to go on top of the X, and I just like for my X to look a certain way. That's just my preference. But you see here, I'm molding that in the direction that I'm going to braid the hair. And then now, since I knew I wanted some curly pieces, I am taking some leftover human hair that I had and gonna prep that to add to the braid. Now at first I was trying to figure out how thick I wanted that curl to be in the front, and I'll be honest, them curly pieces in the front be kind of getting on my nerves, so I tried to make that as thin as possible. Once I have the curly piece at the desired thickness, I take some shining jam and make that section at the end very thin, so I can braid it in easier. And then I remove my clip and prepare to start braiding. So when I'm doing this section, I'm going to go ahead and start braiding. And before I add my curly piece, I always braid it maybe 2 or 3 times just to make sure that part is secure. And when I add in the curly piece, I take it and I kind of just lay it where I want to add it. And I put it into the middle tail that I have and just kind of braid it in. And I always try to measure how long I want that piece on the side of my face, and then I just kind of attach it that way. This was something that took me a while to figure out, especially when you have that straight end on the end of that curly piece. It's just kind of tricky braiding it in. But once I have it in there, it's secure, and then I braid down, and as you see, the thicker braid is going over the bottom portion of the X, and to me, it's just cleaner that way. Yeah, one thing about this three-way mirror is that it's gonna show you everything. So I always try to look and just make sure that the braid that I'm doing is just something that I like, because I want to make sure that everything looks good. Now, as you can tell, I'm not adding any other boho pieces to these plaits at the bottom because I like to add those later. That's just my preference. So now I'm going to do the other side the exact same way that I did the first side. The reason I decided to do this style is because, y'all, it is so hot in Alabama. I recently just took down a mohawk style that I did like after 2 weeks because it was just too much hair. And I was like, I'm gonna do something that's simple, that get this hair off my neck. And when I tell y'all, like, the girlies on the internet is really loving this simple style. So now I'm just adding in the other curly piece the same way that I did on the other side. And I wanna make sure that the curly pieces are the same length, so everything just looks uniform. But if you are interested in seeing the tutorial that I did on the boho mohawk style, that is located on my YouTube page as well as my Instagram page. And if you're not following me on Instagram, y'all, please support me over there. So now I'm done braiding my hair, and this is a full 360 of what it looks like. And y'all, I was proud of myself. I was like, girl, you did that. So I decided to put these in a bun because my main reason of doing this style was to get hair off of my neck. I know I'm hairy, but I'm saying get the braids off my neck. So I wrapped my braids into a bun, and now I just have some leftover crochet hair. Now, I decided to use crochet hair for this because, one, human hair is just kind of hard to attach. And I just wanted this to be, I don't know, y'all, I'm lazy. So I was just like, girl, I'm just going to wrap this around and get that curly look, that curly effect. Now, if you don't want to do yours like this, I mean, because it's very temporary, you can actually braid your crochet hair in or braid the human hair in on the ends. But me, I just said, look, I'm not gonna do all that. I'm just gonna tie this around and bobby pin it. So I just kind of put some bobby pins in there and got it to where it was like a desired look. I didn't want that many curly pieces, only because curly pieces tend to get on my nerves. Like, I don't know why, but this is how it's looking after I have added all the curly pieces, and I cut them because they was kind of looking a little straggly. But this is the finished style, y'all. I'm actually very proud of it. It only took me like 2 hours to do, and most of that was me trying to figure out how to part it. But I do love this style. It's really cute and simple for summer. Y'all seem like y'all loving it too. If you have any questions, just leave it down below. Okay, bye.